Welcome to Retrobot, the YouTube channel where we feed a friendly space robot a diet of pure nostalgia. I'm Clay, and during this Short Circuits video, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio 86 version of Jazz. There he is, let's dive right in. You can see Jazz here in his Studio 86 packaging, which the packaging on the Studio 86 line is actually pretty basic. There's the illustrations of the character. You can see the full illustration here, and then you can see a zoomed in version of the illustration, which does look good. It's very nice artwork, and I like their rendering of Jazz, but notice that he's not put into a scene. There's no background of any kind, and then on the back here, once again, you just see the illustrated character, and that's it. You know, no backdrop, nothing. The top has the Transformers the movie logo. The bottom has a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, which doesn't mean anything to anyone who doesn't have a law degree. And then, of course, on the back here, you have the image of the figure in robot mode and him in his vehicle mode. And then they show the diorama setup because, of course, as part of the Studio 86 series, he comes with a cardboard insert that allows you to put him in a likeness of one of the scenes from the movie, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and take him out of the box, and we'll show you what that diorama looks like. So here we have Jazz in his robot mode in front of the cardboard backdrop scene from Transformers the movie. And this is an important scene for Jazz because this is the scene in which he heroically said, "Decepticon shenanigans in your area." That's pretty much his biggest role in the movie, other than the fact that he survived. He is one of the few Autobots from the Gen 1 line that, from the first wave of the Gen 1 line, that did not get horribly destroyed in that movie. So I guess that's one of the reasons why he's earned a place in the Studio 86 line, because he managed to survive. So let's just take a look at Jazz here. And as you can see, the robot mode is actually very, very nice. The sculpt is really well done. It's a good cartoon likeness while still having the kind of detail that as an adult collector I really appreciate. He's got a lot of nice details on him, which is hard to see here. There we go, the camera focused. So you can see a lot of nice detailing that doesn't just harken back to the cartoon, but also reminds me a lot of his original Gen 1 incarnation, except better body proportions, better articulation, and unfortunately no die-cast metal. He comes with a little gun here, which is good. It's got 5mm posts on the sides, so if he had 5mm ports like a lot of the Siege figures and a lot of the Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy figures, then you'd be able to put it here or here. But he doesn't, and that's one distinct difference between the Transformers Studio 86 line and the War for Cybertron line. The War for Cybertron line does not have the ports for weaponizers. Of course, neither do a lot of the Kingdom characters, for reasons? I don't know. But there is a hole on his back here, which is the roof of the vehicle, and you can plug the gun in there just for weapons storage, or you could stick it in by the hilt, which is probably where you would put it when it's in vehicle mode anyway. The articulation is very nice. His head is on a ball joint, so he can look around and he can pivot up and down just a little bit. His shoulders are very well articulated. He can move them out, he can move them up, he can move them down. He's got a swivel at the bicep, an elbow joint, and his wrists pivot, but they do not twist. So he's got the pivot. Of course, that's going to be for the transform, but it's still a point of articulation. He's got a pivoting waist. He's got very nicely articulated hips, a knee joint here, and then he's got his toes that can kind of dip forward, and he's got an ankle joint, which is also very, very nice, something that they've been doing pretty much throughout the War for Cybertron series. Before then, they weren't worried about ankle joints, but now the Transformers are getting them, and I approve. So overall, a very nice looking figure, a very nicely playable figure, and of course we do need to turn him into a vehicle. So let's start that process right now. So one thing you'll notice with Jazz when you pull him out of the box is that he's got the door panels sticking out sort of like wings. And you can actually fold them in here to go inside of the car roof kibble, and then put that up against the back and make it a little bit more Gen 1 TV show accurate, even though the original toy actually did have the car door wings on it. So that gives him his robot mode, which, as I mentioned before, does look really good, but we need to turn him into a car. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by opening up that backpack, and we're going to drop the doors straight down. Now just bring them down, don't spread them out, because you need to be able to get the back windshield to come out, and if you stick the doors out to the sides, the inner edges of these panels will actually inhibit the movement of this this back windshield. So you just have them out there, and then it comes out just fine. And then we're going to tip the whole chest upwards. And then this is kind of a unique thing. We're going to swivel the waist, and then you see how we've got the abdomen on the back here. Well, we're going to swivel the upper half of the body, leaving the abdomen in the back here, just like that. And so essentially all we're doing is we're rotating that little ab thing out of the way. And then we're going to take the head, and we're going to actually, before we do the head, we're going to flip out this little panel here. There's a little panel, a little tab right inside here, and we need to flip the head out of the way like that. We rotate it, and then now we can take this tab, and that's just going to close in the hole in the hood. So here, let me show you it from this angle. You've got the head, it's going to go through this way, and then you're going to flip it that way, and that's going to give you your car hood here. And then you're going to flip in the fists, which is a maneuver that we've seen many times before, and it's a nice effective way to hide the robot fists. And then we can rotate the arms down, and we can rotate them in, and this is similar to the moves that you saw in the Gen 1 toy, except that the Gen 1 toy then crisscrossed the arms rather than bringing them straight down. We're going to rotate the forearms so that these little tabs stick out to the sides like this. So we're going to rotate those like that. And that is important because those tabs are going to interlock with the doors when we're getting close to the end here. And then we just make sure that the arms are seated nice and flat under the underside of the vehicle. Now at this point, the knees are on these linkages here that allow the whole leg to collapse around the thigh. So let's do that to both sides, and while we're doing that, you can take the feet and you can flip them down, and then we can take the legs and squeeze them together, and we can just spin the fenders with the back wheels around. And then at this point, we can close the roof of the car with the windshield and the windows all around the top. And we can click everything into place. And then we can close these doors and see there are these little slots right on the insides of the doors that are going to engage those tabs that I told you about on the forearms. So we're going to close that right around there like that, just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, which is just going to go like that. And then little squeeziness here and there to make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be, and boom, you have him in his car mode, and he looks really good. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is that this fender is very, very loose. Yeah, it flips very, very easily. I don't really like that. Now, once it's on the ground rolling, then gravity, the weight of the car is going to keep it in place, but I wish it were a little bit stiffer. I may do a little bit of joint tightening on that. This one seems to be okay, so it is a bit of an anomaly. The other thing I'm noticing about mine is that the line on this windshield piece, you see how it just doesn't quite mesh with the rest of the hood, and I think that I just need to do a little bit of filing here to make it fit just a little bit better. It doesn't seem to want to snap down in, and I certainly don't want to force it, because historically these translucent pieces tend to be more brittle than the opaque pieces, so it would be very easy to crack this, and I don't want to do that. And then, of course, you can take the gun and you can put it there in the top because, maybe Jazz needs a gun on his roof. I mean, that's kind of a Transformers staple, putting a gun on the roof of the car. And, if I was going to put a gun on my car somewhere, hey, the roof is a good spot. It's centrally located, well balanced. I don't know. I'm kind of stretching here. Let me put this on the other camera so you can really appreciate the dynamics of this vehicle. So here's his car mode, and it really does look sharp. I love this Porsche design, and we haven't seen a Porsche design like this since the original in 1984. It looks great. Well, I guess we did get Generation 2 Jazz, which was just the same mold, except, with a different paint job, different stickers, but it was kind of silly looking. So this one really does look great. I especially love how the windows look. They look sharp. I do not like the way that this fits in, and maybe mine is an anomaly, but I suspect that I'm just going to have to do a little bit of filing to make that fit together a little bit better. But nonetheless, the overall shape of the vehicle does look great. And I really like the wheels. I like, there's, even though they just snap in, the silver accents do a great job, and they make it pop. The paint deco is simple but evocative of his original Gen 1 design, and he's really looking the part. I'm very happy. He's a pleasant surprise because I really didn't expect much from this one. To be honest, I wasn't even sure why do you want him? He's not a big part of the movie, and so, when I think of Transformers, the movie, and I think of the characters that I want to have in order to reenact that movie, I don't think of Jazz. He just plays such a minor role that he's really not high on my list. I've always liked the character, and I'm glad to see him given his due. But he is an interesting choice. But again, he did survive the movie, and that has to count for something. So let's go ahead and take him off here, and you'll see I actually added some tape on the bottom because he rolls so effectively that he just didn't want to stay in place on my little stand here. So, and that's a nice thing too, because a lot of time I've noticed that Transformers toys will have so much stuff crammed into the underside that the wheels don't quite touch the ground at the same time, and then they just sort of scrape and they don't roll. But he seems to roll very nicely, so that's also a very nice surprise, and it makes the it makes his vehicle mode much more playworthy. So that's it. That is Studio 86 Jazz. This is another one that I have to say I recommend. You know, kind of a little bit of a surprise on that one. Wasn't expecting much from this one, but he's very, very nicely done. Even with those little things that I noticed, like the loose fender and this panel here that doesn't seem to fit quite right. You know, I'm a hacker. I'm a kit basher. It doesn't scare me at all to think about taking a file or an X-Acto to that piece and just trimming just a tiny bit off very carefully. But if that's not you, then be aware that this is what happened with mine. I don't know if it's a common problem or not, but it did happen with mine. Other than that, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want this toy, especially if you're a fan of the 1986 Transformers, the movie, or really, you know, if you're a fan of the movie, you could probably take it or leave it. But if you're just a Gen 1 Transformers fan, and especially that core cast of Wave 1 characters, then you probably love Jazz and will love this very, very faithful retro reproduction of him. So yeah, recommend. So that's it. If you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification bell so that you know when we're doing more of these Short Circuits videos. We also do a live stream pretty much every Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern United States time. It's a blast. Join the chat. We will toast to you if we see you, and everybody will be warm and friendly and very entertaining, because that's what they do on our chat. So with all of that being said, this is Clay Carlino telling you, see, I'm pointing at you right there, right? Yeah, you, no, not you, yeah, you, okay, you, the one that nodded, yes, you, okay, the rest of you can too. Keep it Retrobot. Yes. And also, yeah, you know, the lady that's in the sweater, yeah, you also keep it Retrobot. Oh, also the gentleman that's oh, you're way too close to your computer screen, you're gonna hurt your eyes. You should keep it retro, but you know, back up a little bit, because you know, I don't want you to like get headaches and you'll have trouble sleeping, and you know, you look a little bit older, so your eyes are probably pretty sensitive. Just be careful with that. It's very important.